Welcome to Team DataFam Tableau User Group meeting number 17. This tug's a little bit different because we cater for the presenter rather than the audience. So we meet at a whole heap of different times that match when the presenter is available, which is why we're meeting now, so we can have Mehras on talking about Tableau Agent and Tableau Prep. But all the meetings are recorded, they're on YouTube, you can watch them later on, you can listen to the podcast, we'll have all details about that later on. This is a repeat of TC25, as I didn't mention before. But if anyone wants to present anything, please email me at team.datafam@gmail.com. So today we have a repeat of a TC25 presentation, Prep Smarter, Not Harder, Tableau Agent for Tableau Prep. Mehras is going to show us through how to use Tableau Agent with Tableau Prep. Sounds really interesting. So I'll hand it over to you and we can get started.
All right, thank you so much for the intro. All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yep, perfect.
All right, thank you so much. So we're going to talk about Tableau Agent for prep flows. Again, my name is Mehras, Abdoli. Thank you so much for inviting me. And also, thank you for being here today. Did I stop sharing? I think I might have clicked on, okay. Are we back? Yep. All right, well, thanks again for being here. So going over the agenda real quick, we're gonna talk about why did I pick this topic? Why is it important to talk about Tableau Agent in Tableau Prep? And then we're gonna meet Tableau Agent. I'm gonna show you a few examples of how you can actually use Tableau Agent in Tableau Prep. So in section 3, what we're going to see is basically what is the traditional way of doing it in Tableau Prep by clicking on different steps, and what is the alternative way of doing it, which I call smart way, by prompting what you actually need. And then after that, when you realize the case of like how do we actually prep smarter, then I'm going to show you a few examples that we can do simple tasks with just a half a sentence prompt for most of the time. And then we're going to talk about some helpful tips that I learned. These slides, as Chris mentioned, are directly from TC. I have not made any changes to them. When I signed up for this, I was thinking about I'm going to definitely work on to, kind of like update them before I present at the talk, but I have not. So disclaimer, some of it might not be as interesting as I hope it to be. So with that being said, currently I work as a analytics consultant at Onware. We are a consulting company that we mainly work with construction companies. We do both business intelligence work, and we also do software development. This is my second year as a Tableau ambassador. I'm a Tableau public ambassador, and I have a couple of certification in Tableau too. I worked in education for about 13 years in different positions, from teaching mathematics to coaching soccer to leading math teams and departments, and got my master's in data analytics, found myself some data job within the school district. Before I joined Onware, I had 2 data teams that I worked with and I led basically, and this is actually my 4th month working for Onware, pursuing some new experience. So going over the learning objectives, when I made this presentation, what I had in my mind with the experience that I had at a school district, I worked for Houston ISD. Houston ISD is the largest school district in the state of Texas, and also top 6 or 7 in the US. And you can imagine how difficult it was for the data teams to actually prepare anything for any departments, because everything that we did was in-house. So when I thought about like talking about this at TC, I was like, how do I actually start having the conversation of no matter how fast your data teams work or how skilled people you have, you almost always feel like you're behind. So the whole point of this conversation is not saying that Tableau Agent can do everything for you, but start like making you think about like, how do we think about another way to actually kind of like be proactive and lift a little bit of work from data teams and actually empower everyone in the organization to make the data prep for them accessible for them, basically. And then how do we use AI to get help a little bit on the calculations? We're going to talk about it, but Tableau Agent in Tableau Prep is limited to just creating calculated fields. But how do we actually use that and start thinking about how we can actually make everyone's life easier? And then we're going to talk about, we're going to see some, examples. Not all of it might directly, you cannot really connect to it with the work that you do, right? Different people do different type of data, but this is again to invite you think about like, how do I actually think a little bit different to help my data teams and help everyone in the organization more successful. So going over the first section, let's talk about a little bit more about what is the case for smarter data prepping. So the sentence that I really want you to start like thinking about and actually walk away with is shifting the workload and sharing the power, right? Again, like every single person in this call has a power of data, but with the load of like requests and demands that your teams have, it's super difficult to kind of like catch up. So how do we actually share the power that we have and shift the workload to them? Obviously, all of this is not going to be possible, but can we start thinking about how do we shift some of that power and share some of that power and shift the workload? You might ask, like, who is this talk for? So again, everyone in your organization, you want those people that they are curious about data prepping, to give them a little bit of like head start. How do you help those people to independently work on some of those data prepping tasks that they have without overwhelming your team and without making them wait, for a few days to a couple of weeks for something that they can do with half a prompt. You might have some people in your team that they're talented, but they're new to data prepping. So how do we actually give them another tool to set them up for success? And then you might be that data pro, or you might know a data pro in your team that they can probably handle everything old school. They don't need anything to help them write the code or anything like that. But, how do we actually help them so when they go home, they don't need to respond to another message or another email? So this case is for everyone in your organization, basically. So let's meet Tableau Agent to know a little bit about like, how do I access to it and all of that. So Tableau Agent in Tableau Prep, you can access to it if you're prepping through Tableau Cloud and you need to have Tableau Plus add-on. So that's the thing about it. I know the licensing and all those things change overnight probably. So I have not kind of like looked this up to see if anything changed since April. But last time that I checked and I prepared this slide, you had to have the Tableau Plus add-on to be able to have Tableau Agent. Before we actually talk about Tableau Agent in Tableau Prep, let's talk about Tableau Prep a little bit. So Tableau Prep, as you already know, is a self-service data prep. Most of the things could be done without writing a code. So there are many functions that you can click on and transfer your data, like joins and unions and aggregate and all those tools that you have. The visual interface, as you can see in the picture that I have, like you have different ways of looking at it. On the left side, you have all the changes that you've made, great for documentation. Then in the middle part of the picture that I have, you have the profile pane that you can see immediately. What does the distribution of data look like in my columns? What type of data do I have? How many nodes do I have? Those usually show up at the top, and then you can sort it, look at it visually to kind of like explore the data. I have worked with RStudio, Python. I'm no expert. I was just exposed to them, right? Power Query, all those kind of things. I strongly believe that for data exploration, nothing beats Tableau Prep. I think it's the best tool to explore your data, to just figure out, okay, what am I dealing with? We talked about the profile pane, and then obviously it's part of the Tableau ecosystem. So the integration, it's great. For those that they don't know, Tableau Prep is a separate product. So the thing about Tableau Prep is you need to prep your data in Tableau Prep and then output it as a data source or different forms, and then work it in Tableau. So now that we know a little bit about Tableau Prep, let's talk about like how do I actually see the Tableau agent. So Tableau agent window appears when you actually open the create calculated field window. We've seen this in Tableau Desktop. You're seeing it in Tableau Prep right now. Most of us are familiar with the reference tab, but Tableau agent tab is going to be right next to this if you have that Tableau Plus. So every time you open the create calculated field, you're going to see that Tableau agent. So this is how you get to it. But how do I get to the calculated field window? Another great thing about Tableau Prep, there are many ways to get to different things. Like one of the ways you can do it, as you can see in the toolbar, you can click on create calculated field, or on every single profile pane for each field, you can click on the three dots more option, create calculated field, and open that window. So once you get inside the calculation window, as we talked about it, you have that Tableau agent tab. Tableau agent is going to greet you, tell you what it can do. If you look at the first line, help you write calculations to compute row values, So with that being said, as of right now, Tableau Agent can only help you with writing calculations. Gives you a little bit of examples of what it can do. It says, like, for example, go ahead and the prompt could be extract the email address from the info field. So basically, go prompt. It goes through, thinks a little bit, gives you the response, tells you the process, and then you can either replace it. So if you replace it, as you can see in that button, it's going to replace it in the window on the left side, the formula editor. You have to type in the field name yourself. It doesn't automatically do it for you. And even if you pick it from one of the fields in your profile pane, you still need to explain what type of manipulation you want to do on which field. So you write your prompt, you talk about the field name that you want to do the data manipulation. I usually put it in between brackets, check the response, make sure it makes sense, replace the calculation, add your field name, apply and close, and you have your calculation. So now that we know the why of this talk and we know a little bit about Tableau Prep and how do I get to Tableau Agent, we're going to go to and look at a few cases that we're going to see the hard way of doing it. I call it the hard way, but most of the things in Tableau Prep is not hard comparing to actual coding because you're doing, clicks. But if you don't want to click, then you can prompt. So before I go to part 3, I'm going to pause for a second, see, I know we have a Q&A at the end, but sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself, so I'm going to pause for like 10 seconds to see if you guys are still awake, and then we can continue go and work on number 3.
Everyone's awake, but there's no questions
Okay.
yet, sorry.
That's good. All right, Chris, I'll help you. I'll lean on you to help me with the questions. So let me know. Again, casual. If you have any question, ask me along the way. I'm using just one laptop, so I'm going back and forth. Just let me know if you have any questions. So let's talk about the what I call deep dive demo. So the first demo that I have, I think I have 3 of those for you. It's talking about like state names, right? So let's explore 2 different ways to solve a problem. So you're going to see the problem. I'm going to show you the hard way to do it, easy way, prompting, and then we're going to see what we really gained. All of these examples that I picked are easy examples. So just to give you some idea of what Tableau Agent can do. So you have a state column. As you can see, we have 3 types of California and 5 types of Texas. So, you know, these things happen. We have a lot of inconsistencies. We can write formulas, or we can group the values using Tableau Prep. But do we really need to keep doing that? And if we go back to the slide that we talked about, like, who is this talk for? Like, imagine that your data team is using Tableau Prep, and something like this, if you have worked with Tableau Prep, is very easy, but can we actually save time not teaching this, right? So if I want to do this the hard way, as you can see on the right side, this is the completed way of prepping this data. Basically, these are the steps. You need to go to that field, click on the 3 dots. Again, you have to know, how do I group this? So you choose a function called group and replace. It replaces it with common characters. I think it does fuzzy matching. And then the thing about this is then you might need to go manually rename some of these. And once you rename it, then you repeat it for other states. You get the idea, right? If you have a lot of states, this might not be the best way to do it. But, and again, that person in your team needs to know that this function exists, right? So the smart way is just prompting. So you can say something as easy as fix inconsistencies in state column. As you can see, I'm definitely talking about which column I want to do what. So when I did this, when I wrote that prompt, agent responded with this calculation for me, and we all know this is probably not going to do it. So the trimming is going to trim leading and trailing spaces, and then upper is going to make everything to uppercase. So I had to do the second prompt here, and I said, like, and there are many ways to prompt, right? Like, if you can perfect your prompt, that's great, but later on we're going to talk about why perfecting the prompt is not really worth it also. So you can see my second prompt, I've explained a little bit more clear of what I'm looking for, basically. So I said, like, I'm looking for full state names. I need proper capitalization. Don't do any abbreviation for me. And it was able to do it. I think many of us wrote some version of this calculation to go and use the case statement and go, when it's this, replace it with that. Half a sentence, 1 sentence, agent was able to pick it up, wrote you can see the screenshot for the first 3 states. I was able to get this done and then replaced it, and I was able to clean my data. So the payoff here is I was able to clean this super fast. I didn't need to think about it. I'm avoiding clicking. If you are also, like me, suffering from carpal tunnel syndrome, this might be for you as well. Clicking is not always, your best friend. And then I was able to clean everything in seconds. And I don't need to teach anything to anyone of like where to go and what to do. So that's that. So let's look at another example. Again, something super simple. Imagine you have a column called full name, and you just want to separate them, right? We've all seen those data sets with like people put all information in one field, first name, last name, zip code, address, all of that. So a simple version of that is you have a full name, you want to separate first and last. Again, breaking down your field. Do I really need to know how to code this? Probably not. You just can describe what you want. So if you're familiar with Prep, these are the changes that you probably need to do. So you can go click on more options. There is automatic split function. Sometimes it does not split correctly. And if you want to know, if you want to go and do the custom split feature in Tableau Prep, then you need to know the concept of delimiters, and then you need to learn about like, how do I split? So you need to configure those settings. And then once you do that, you need to make sure like I'm applying the title case formatting for each of them. So the hard way of doing this, as you can see, there are 6 steps. And the smart way of doing this is I learned from my last example. I was a little bit more clear about what I want. So I'm asking it to create the calculated field, probably not required to say that. And then I'm telling it to extract first name from the full name. Use proper case formatting. It was able to do this for me, wrapping it around a proper splitting happening, splitting it by space, and it's looking for, since I said first name, is looking for the first part. And then if I want to do the same thing for last name, I repeat this process, change my field name, and then I'll be done with this. So gaining about this, again, one less thing to think about. We are not clicking, we are just prompting, and we're letting the agent to do the heavy lifting. So I was able to go from that to that with 2 prompts. Inconsistent date formats, that's one of the things that people usually struggle with, right? Cleaning messy data, sometimes it's super fun, right? And usually, like, it's nice to have those columns in your data set. If you're doing a community project, you're probably looking for those fields to give you a little bit more flexibility with your visualization that you're going to post on Tableau Public. But what I say always is like, looks like a date, but acts like trouble. So as you can see on the right side, I have a column with 5 different values and 5 different formats. Parsing logic can get complex super fast. So even that data pro in your organization might get, frustrated super fast. So what you're going to actually do, you're going to let Tableau Agent handle it. So the hard way of doing this, when I was creating these slides, I honestly didn't know how to do this the hard way. Going back to the problem again. So as you can see, that column, I don't know how to make sure all these formats are the same. So the first thing that I thought about was, let me just go and change the data string to date. But when I did that, Tableau Agent only was able to pick up 3 of those values. And as you can see, on the left side is the original, right side is after changing the data type from string to data to date. As you can see, it returned 2 null values. So for the highlighted, the first one and fourth one, it was not able to actually convert it to date. So that's a problem, right? I don't know how to fix that, and writing this, probably it's going to be complex. So how do we do this the smart way? Well, so the first thing that I thought about doing was just literally telling it to change the values to data type. I was, still having some hope in Agent, but it did the same thing for me. So it wrapped around the date around that column, and I'm, back to the first square. So it only works for 3 formats. So on my prompt 2, I did a little bit of research, and I was like, I got to get this right. Tableau conference is approaching. I got to make sure like this works, right? So I tried to perfect my prompt, and this is the case that I'm going to tell you that, like, even if you perfect your prompt, not always is going to work, right? So as you can see, like, this is legit like prompt. So I'm being clear. I'm using some like technical terms. I'm looking at my date format, DD, MM, YYY. Even I capitalize my M's because that's how Tableau work. So even doing that, it got closer. I got something more than just, wrapping a date function around my field. But what happened was I got a lot of reds underlined, and on the bottom it tells you like what's going on, right? Probably you've seen this on the reference tab when you wrote calculated fields before. So this happened, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm presenting about Tableau Agent. Something needs to be smart about this. So I look at those things on the bottom, and my third prompt to Agent was, let me go back. At the bottom part, it says function isDate cannot accept, right? So I was like, maybe something is wrong with the isDate function. So my third prompt to this was not use isDate function. It was like, let's see how smart Tableau Agent is. And surprisingly, it did work. Didn't use isDate function. I'm not having any errors. And I'm closer. I don't have any nulls, but it's in the date and time format. And then my fourth prompt, as you can guess, was, I guess I got a little bit more comfortable with Agent, right? We know each other for like 3 iteration now. So I felt comfortable, and I was like, this is good. Return date, no date and time. And yeah, I was able to get this, and then now I don't have any trouble anymore. It's not that simple, right? If you look at that code, now that we have it, it looks easy, we understand it, but like I don't really want to like spend time thinking about this, right? I prefer to spend my energy somewhere else, and I can learn about this code and maybe document it somewhere and use it later on. So I have a clean, consistent dates, no more formatting chaos. I'm probably spend like 5 minutes on this, example, but like prompting it wouldn't take that time. And then I have a logic that I can use in my future flows and data sets, and we were able to clean it fast. So now that we know the logic behind like, why did I think about like presenting about this, let me show you a few quick things. I have a lot of slides about those, but I took them off because my talk for Tableau conference was 20 minutes only. So I'm going to show you a few of those examples, which I call like quick wins, fast fixes for everyday prep challenges. So let's talk about fixing strings. So on the top, you have the problem that we are trying to solve. On the left side, it tells you the column, explained like what we are trying to do. And then on the right side, I show you the prompt that I have and an answer that I get. So on the left side, we have a column called label. The information is separated by underscore, and it's just replace function, right? No rocket science, but I don't want to think about it. So I'm just going to literally prompt and say replace underscores in this column with spaces, explains to me what's happening, and then it gives me the function. That's it. And I have my replace column cleaned now. So what about dates? So let's say you have a column called current date, and for some reason someone asks you, can we actually use this to compare with the same period 3 years ago? So what I want to do is literally prompt and say, this column, I need you to shift it back same day and month 3 years ago. And I learned my lesson, as you can see in the highlighted part. I want to make sure I get date and not date and time. So you're going to kind of like get used to Agent a little bit and learn how it works. So got this formula, use the date add function, wrapped it around the date, and I have what I need. What about another date labels? So you have a column, everything is in the MMGD YYY format, and for some reason you want to change it to another way. So you want to create a custom data label. So many use cases, but I decided to change it to month and year. So I asked Agent to show me the month and year form from this column, and it was able to use this function. And instead of that, now I have month and year. So another use case. What about fixed logic? So we've seen this, especially in Tableau visualization. Sometimes you have to use fixed calculations, especially if you don't want that number to be affected by filters. So you have the fixed calculation, and sometimes I think fixed or LODs are one of those things that it takes a little bit time for people to learn. And like, I think this is a great example of using agent. So imagine you have a data set with a store ID, transaction ID, and transaction date. As you can see, for store ID A, I have 2 transactions in 2 different dates. So what I would like to do is I just want to know the latest date per store. So I asked a question. I said, find the latest transaction date for each store. So you can ask questions too, obviously. It's using a fixed calculation, looking for the max function. And I'm able to see for store A, the latest transaction date was May 15. What about count of orders? Pretty much the same. You have 3 different categories, different order IDs, and you can just ask a question, how many orders are in each category? So this type of interaction with AI is something that we are used to, right? So you can ask those questions. So it does work, right? It gives you a calculation, and then you can replace it, and then you can see furniture has 3 orders. So a few takeaways from this. What I learned playing with this and creating this slide is try to keep the prompts short and direct. Don't confuse the agent. Agent's still learning, I guess. Obviously, name the field that you're working with. I put it in between bracket. I guess it works if you don't. Also, talk about the output that you want, right? What are you trying to do? Don't just describe the problem. Don't think about it as like, ChatGPT or whatever. You cannot really describe what you want. Like, you cannot talk about the problem that you're having, right? You need to know like exactly what you want to do basically at this point. That's how Tableau Agent can help you, just with creating calculations. If the result is off, we saw it in a few examples that it's just an iterative process. Just play with it until you get that calculation that you're looking for. And again, this is not to replace your thinking. It cannot solve everything, but it's another tool. Again, I have a case of like, you don't need to do everything the hard way. At the end of the day, if I can get something faster and I can finish my deadline, deliver what I need to do, it doesn't really matter how I do it. So we're not here to prove anyone anything. So if you can use AI or agent, whatever, to get something done, why not? Just don't overthink it also. Just type what you want. And it's a good jump start for you or for your team if you're looking for, another help. And we talk about this, like, just get it done. You're not here to prove everything, that you can do everything, right? If you can get something faster, why not? And again, this is a case about inviting people to think about, like, how do I share the power that I have, and how do we shift the workload? And that's it. Thank you all so much. And I'm gonna stop sharing and we can chat now.
There was a few questions. I don't know if people want to come off mute and ask their own questions. Andy, Philip, Jacob in the Q&A. If no one's game, I will.
I'm happy to, but mine was last if the others want to go first. No, I guess not. Okay. Cool. Thanks for that, Mehras. So my question was just particularly in terms of like the date demo that you kind of covered there, that it only will cover date formats that, in that example that you gave, it only covers the date formats that you actually kind of specified, right? It won't, not clever enough to kind of work out any additional ones that go on. So if anybody enters some extra data, you get some new data that is in a different date format. Am I right thinking that your calculation in that example would break?
I think you're probably not wrong, but in my example, I only introduced 5 different formats. So I haven't tried it with more formats to see if Tableau Prep and Agent can handle it or not. I'm assuming So if you think about it, like it was able to get 3 out of 5. My sample is not really great because I only have one sample. So whatever percentage 3 over 5 is, I think we might be able to generalize it and say like it might be able to pick up that many formats. But for simplicity, I really tried to like do like simple things because my presentation was 20 minutes. But I was a little bit disappointed that even Tableau Prep was not able to identify those two formats because they're not too complicated if you look at them, right? One of them was just digits without any delimiters. So I'm not sure why it didn't pick it up.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you for the question.
But kind of with my question as well. So I was thinking about the states, right? When you update, bring in more states. At the end of the day, Agent's just creating a calculated field logic for what it sees at that current time when you run it. So the difficulty is not, is it, if I'm right, it's not sitting there watching over the data, seeing these new kind of scenarios come into play and processing to update it, right? It's not going to sit there and kind of keep an eye on things and automatically. I think.
Yeah, at this point, I don't. Yeah, it doesn't have that feature. It's just like I don't know if we can even call this an agent or not, because agents now that we see like with Agentics analytics, they're a little bit more smart. So I would say this is an earlier version of introducing AI in Tableau products. That's my understanding. So it's a good start, but it's definitely not going to be your thought partner, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
In data prepping.
And it was helping with the syntax. I think that's the key.
Yeah,
it's a co-pilot, if you like, for getting the syntax right.
But one of the good things that I like about this is unless your company provides like some sort of like, because we're talking about like data security too, right? Like many times when we want to get help from AI, like I need to somehow like, I cannot like just copy paste my data into, even if I'm using a paid version of whatever, right? So it's not perfect, but at least I don't need to go and like mask my data or anything like that. I can just, kind of like trust.
All in the one platform.
Like, yep.
It's breaks down.
That's a good thing about it.
Entry. For I also like that you committed to the bit and got Agent to change your date from a date time to right. It's pretty easy, but.
And Philip's question, which was the first question, was do we need to set up or introduce Tableau Agent to our data model, or should it work if once you start Tableau Prep?
The latter, but the only thing that you have to have that Tableau Plus add-on. And last time, I might be wrong, don't quote me on it, don't count on what I said, but I feel like even for like future products that we were talking about, like if you have that Tableau Plus license, it's gonna like down the road, like with the new things that agentic eras, all those kind of things that we were talking about, like if you have that Tableau Plus, everything else is gonna get like grandfather. So as long as you have the Tableau Plus, you don't need to set up anything, Flip, and you just open the calculated window and the Tableau Agent tab is gonna appear. I'm assuming that once you set up your Tableau Plus, at some point you need to go and turn this on, probably somewhere in the settings, to allow AI to be in your cloud, I guess. But there's not a like true setup or anything like that.
It's all happening at prep level, but Agent sits within desktop as well, right? So you could do the same thing there, but obviously then it's not persistent model. And
if I'm not making a mistake, when they release Tableau 2025.1, around the same time as TC. I think they introduced that Tableau Agent is also available in Tableau Desktop. But with Prep, based on my knowledge, like a month ago-ish, 2 months ago, you can only get Tableau Agent if you're doing Prep in Tableau Cloud.
Okay, in the browser.
In the browser.
Yep. Right. And Philip's other question was, can Tableau Agent help with calculating the day of the week based on the date? So
It
converting
should
the date
be.
to like Monday, Tuesday.
It should be. It should be.
Awesome.
I believe anything that you historically wrote any calculations for it, Tableau Agent can handle. You might need to wrestle with it a little bit, but it's going to be able to to create anything that you usually create.
Yeah, it's sort of, and that's what I was sort of thinking through, that it's more of a syntax helper. So you don't need
Yes.
to go and know all the syntax. If you ask the prompt properly, it's going to give you what you asked for in Tableau syntax to put in a calculated field. That's where we're at the moment. It'll get better.
I think so too.
Awesome. No more questions, no more chat, but that's okay. We can move on and we can always talk at the end. Here's Mehras' contact details. So Tableau Public, LinkedIn, X. And then the last section is Fast 5. So 5 quick questions, quick answers. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just your personal feelings. Hopefully a little bit of fun as well. Okay, so the first one is, what's your favorite color palette to use in Tableau and why?
Probably Tableau 20.
Yep, that's good. And how has working with Tableau changed the way you look at data in life?
Nowadays, it's a little bit different, but what I remember, I took a course in my master's program called data visualization, and it was a combination of theory of data visualization plus, working with Tableau. I think when I was going through those classes, reading books and everything, like everything that I saw in life, videos, movies, whatever, I kind of like saw everything in the Tableau kind of like palette work frame. So everything was a visualization.
Yep, that's cool. Number 3, do you prefer minimalist or information-rich dashboard designs?
I prefer minimalist for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But your clients probably want the information-rich dashboard.
That's cool. And which chart type do you find most satisfying to create?
Yeah, probably dual axis.
Yep. And finally, what's your favorite way to stay updated on new Tableau features?
The easiest way, if you are a cloud user, when you go to your cloud, on the top right, you have your search box, and then you have a question mark. So if you click on that question mark, you're going to get like 4 or 5 different things. And one of them is, I think it's called What's New. So if you actually click on that, that's the easiest way, instead of like, bookmarking anything. That takes you to like what's new in Tableau, and then you can go over all of those things. And then if you want to dig deeper, then if you find one of those that you really like and it's related to the work that you do, then you go and look at all these resources that DataFam is putting out there. So that could be a start point, and then go figure things out. But anything from DataFam is what I prefer, because they go through it, they struggle. From that struggle, finding the best way, best practice, they write a blog or video or whatever, and then by the time that you're watching it, you can save a lot of time. So anything that DataFam creates is going to be my answer, I guess. Awesome,
that's good. And I haven't used that What's New feature, so I should. Awesome. Thanks for that.
It's pretty good. That like question mark that no one pays attention to. It gives you what's new. You can also look at like if this kind of like health system, like which system is down or up and all of that. So next time you log into your Tableau Cloud, click on that question mark. There's some good stuff that you can explore.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next session is in, 3 days' time from now. Lewis is talking about map layers and obviously a whole heap of map layers, Star Wars references. It's going to be really cool. Again, 11 a.m. if you're in Australia, Sydney time. Adjust it for other time zones in Australia, 3 a.m. in Europe, and it's sort of okay for the US as well this time. So click on grab the QR code, or obviously go back to the user group's Tableau website and register for that as well. This recording and all other stuff that I do with the tug and a lot of other online tugs is all available on YouTube at youtube.com/Team DataFam. There's also a Spotify and an Apple podcast if you don't have time to watch YouTube, or if you prefer to listen to things before you watch them, etc. Multiple ways to consume, obviously. And if anyone wants to present or have any questions, please email me at team.datafam@gmail.com. So thank you to Mehras for that. That was enlightening. I hadn't seen that before, and it was always good to actually see how that works. I was especially curious how it would work with Prep, and that was awesome. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for everyone that they showed up today. Appreciate y'all.
And now I've used that new feature that everyone's a presenter the whole time. People can just unmute and talk. I don't need to unmute you yourself.
Yeah, but you've still got access to the recording button.
Well, I can cut this bit out if you like, or I can just leave it there. You would have heard the tugs. It's like the first few tugs, I just went, I'm going to cut this bit out. And it's like, no, it's actually better to leave this stuff in, so it gets left in.
It's good fun. Yeah. It's good fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I said something in the first one. Cut out.
Well, I think it was the first or the second one, and I said something. I was about halfway through it, and I went, "Oh wait, I'm really not sure whether that's under NDA or not."
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I can't remember whether you cut it out.
No, that's okay. If it feels a little bit weird, I can cut it out. But I decided about 3 or 4 tugs ago to just leave this chat in because it's good.
It's fine. All good, all good.
So I guess say DBT, Snowflake, like everything should have these 8 things in them by now, right? As well, or getting them to help with coding within the platforms.
Well,
DBT's got it.
Yeah.
So you can. It's always hard for me. I'm not dissing this presentation at all, but because I think the presentation was awesome. I think for me, I code a lot, so I know all the syntax. I know what to do. I've seen the problem before. I can just write the logic, and a lot of times I sit there and go, "Why do you need an agent like this?" But Mehras' demo was like, "That's exactly why you need an agent like this. Is you can write a case statement with 50 states in it, or we don't have the 50-state problem, but it's the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to sit there forever writing all these case statements to cover this stuff. We'll just say to agent, hey, can you do this? It understands a list of states, boom. It'd be nice to see if it could do the states in Australia, but I'm not going to push it that far. But you know, it just saves you time on the typing sometimes to actually get that logic done.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
so go ahead, Jacob.
like I can do all the Tableau stuff like CACs and everything like that. But then there was a time where I had to use that other BI tool.
Yep.
And winning and knowing the DAX without knowing that, the AI was able to write all of my calculations there and bring that across, and then I could just focus on from there.
Another thing that it's interesting is, sorry to cut you off, Chris, Tableau Agent is also available in Tableau Catalog. I don't know if you guys like use it or not. Like basically, if you have a published data source in your Tableau Cloud, you can, if you go to the description window, instead of like writing, you can actually use Tableau Agent to go through your data set, basically look at the columns and write a little description for you. The only thing that I learned about it is, I don't know exactly how it works, but when you publish something, you cannot, the description, agent in description is not immediately going to show up. So it takes a second, or I don't know, a few hours or whatever after you publish for it. I don't know how to explain it, but that's my experience with it.
I've noticed that some of the things like the AI generated pulse descriptions, they refresh at like 0 GMT. That's the time that it does the refresh, and if you try and look at it before that, it's not happened. So I do wonder if there's a timing thing that's going on.
I just check the question mark menu. I'm always clicking on my profile menu to do things in there. I never really click on the question mark, so I'm going to have to do that more often now.
I just use it to check which
is that ironic
server I'm on, because I always forget.
Yeah. Is that ironic that you click on the question mark to check the system status, but if the system status is down, if the system is down, then you can't get to the question mark to see if the system's down or not?
Yeah. Anyway, but it's funny. You talk about these features that like they're always there, but you just don't click on them. I was doing something the other day and was showing a member of my team something, and clicked on the your name at the bottom of Tableau Desktop, and you can change it to somebody else and view the
what they would see
as them. And he just
someone on this call did that the other day.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. He just went, "What? No!" And he's like, and then there was one of our grads was sitting there. She's like, "Did you not know that? I knew that. Heather showed me last week." But the thing is that his reaction was exactly the same as mine when I learned it 3 or 4 months ago. So I can't really talk. It's just like it's there all the time. Just don't click on it.
It's like changing.
Sorry, go Jacob.
I was going to say changing between the sorter and the film strip view. Those little buttons down the bottom right that I did in the DataFam Slam. Same thing when I started at my new job. No one had pressed any of those buttons.
Drag and move things. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But that was my old story. I did it a few years ago. I was teaching Tableau, and the guy was like, "Oh, how long have you been using Tableau? Or how long did it take you to learn Tableau?" and I thought the joke would go down really well, and I said, "It's been about 8 years." I said, "I just, and he goes, 8 years and you haven't learned Tableau?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh my God, I'm like, no. I said, what you don't understand is, you'll be using Tableau really fast. Before the end of this course, you'll be building really good dashboards.
Yeah.
But there's new features all the time. There's different tricks. There's things come out all the time." I said, "You will never learn everything because that's impossible.
Yeah.
And you'll just add to your knowledge the whole way along because that's what you do." So he was a little bit more subdued after that, but I didn't pitch it properly, and he was sort of like, 8 years and you still don't know how to use Tableau properly, right? Because you just won't. You can't. It's too big.
Well, I mean, it's something I saw come up on LinkedIn yesterday. It's another question I've seen coming around recently is that where you've got somebody who has mastery in an area, they become the expert. An expert's somebody who's stopped asking questions, stopped being curious, because they know, so they don't have to be curious. So you can't learn anymore. So I think that expert, that mastery kind of label is one you want to avoid. Just keep learning.
Well, that was the whole Alteryx thing that I've always stolen forever. It's just never stop learning.
Yeah.
You can't. There's always something new, and it's always, And again, would I use Tableau Agent in Tableau Prep? Maybe not, because I don't use Tableau Prep much, but I know that it's there if I need to, and if I've got a client that's got Tableau Plus, then I can use it.
Yes.
but it's got to be there. You've got to know that it's there as well. So it's just a benefit. I've seen the little icon in Tableau, either Tableau Desktop or Tableau Cloud, and I haven't clicked on that yet. But anyway, it's good. Always more to learn.
Always.
So with that, if everyone's either working or trying to get off work because it's too late at night.
Oh no, I'm really happy. I just got my extract to work.
Even better.
No good reason, but now it's working.
And Heather, this is always a challenge with your background, because I always joke about this. Yes. One of these days and I know you can do it because I know it's actually a joke. It's not a bad threat at all. If people have musical instruments hanging on their walls,
we're going to make
they have to play them at some point.
Yeah. Hey, if you're going to put that in place, I'm going to need to get a banjolele.
Which is I don't have my instruments hanging on the wall, so no one can see what I play and how badly I play it.
Mine are just off to the side at home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude.
I did put a video though.
Yeah.
Oh, of your what? 7-string?
The 7-string. Yeah.
Yep. That was pretty cool.
I have to go and find it. I didn't see the video.
I didn't realize you'd done that. I knew there was a couple of pictures on WhatsApp, but yeah. It was cool.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks again. Thanks, Mehras. Awesome.
Yeah,
We'll wrap it up and talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mehras.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.